The craziest things I encountered working at a fast food restaurant. As a fast food worker at Wendy's, I've had my fair share of memorable moments, some funny, some frustrating, but all of them impactful in their own way. Working in fast food is an exercise in patience and resilience. A crash course in handling the unexpected. Little did I know, I was about to experience one of those moments that would stick with me for years. A moment I would later describe as my "Sir, this is a Wendy's" moment. It was a typical Friday night, bustling with customers eager for their late-night fix of burgers and fries. The neon lights of the restaurant cast a bright glow on the asphalt, drawing in a mix of families, late-night partiers, and tired workers looking for a quick meal. I was stationed at the register, the cheerful chatter of my co-workers mixing with the sounds of sizzling burgers and the clatter of trays. I enjoyed the chaos of busy shifts, it kept me on my toes. However, that night felt different. A subtle tension filled the air, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Perhaps it was the group of teenagers laughing too loudly in one corner or the couple bickering at another table. But something felt off. As I took orders and handed out bags filled with burgers and chicken nuggets, I noticed a man standing off to the side. He looked disheveled, his clothes wrinkled and dirty, and he was pacing back and forth. There was an intensity to his demeanor that set off alarm bells in my head. I tried to ignore him and focused on the customers in front of me, but my eyes kept wandering back to him. Suddenly, he approached the counter, and I forced a smile, ready to take his order. Instead, he leaned in closer, his voice low and shaky. "I need to speak to someone about an important issue," he said, his eyes darting around the room. I nodded, trying to maintain my composure. "What can I help you with?" He didn't respond directly. Instead, he leaned even closer and said, "This is urgent. I need to tell someone about the government and the conspiracy they're running." My heart raced. I had dealt with eccentric customers before, but this felt different. I glanced around, hoping my manager would appear to handle the situation. "Sir, this is a Wendy's," I replied cautiously, trying to diffuse the tension. "If you'd like to place an order, I'd be happy to help you." He straightened up, his demeanor shifting as he stepped back, almost as if my words had snapped him back to reality. Right. I need to get this out." Before I could respond, he launched into a detailed tirade about hidden government agendas and mind control. The more he spoke, the more alarmed I became. I couldn't quite understand what he was saying, and his eyes glinted with a wildness that made me uneasy. At that moment, the restaurant was bustling with activity, the sounds of laughter and conversation swirling around us. But here I was, caught in a surreal confrontation with a man who seemed completely detached from the world around him. I felt the eyes of my co-workers on me, and I could sense the tension in the air as they continued to take orders, trying to maintain the normalcy of the evening. "Sir," I interrupted gently, "if you'd like to discuss this with someone, I can get my manager." He shook his head vehemently, the intensity returning to his expression. No. You don't understand. They're listening." Before I could respond, he turned on his heel and marched toward the exit, muttering under his breath. I exhaled, relieved that the encounter was over but still shaken by the intensity of the moment. The rest of the night passed uneventfully, though my mind kept drifting back to the man and his words. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had encountered something unusual, a brush with the unexpected that was part of the fast food experience. As the weeks went on, I continued to work my shifts at Wendy's, each day bringing new challenges and quirky customers. There was the lady who ordered a salad but asked for extra bacon, the group of teenagers who tried to use a fake ID to buy soda, and the man who insisted on customizing his burger with 10 different toppings. But the memory of the man from that night stayed with me. I found myself looking for him, half expecting him to return at any moment. It was as if he had awakened something within me, a reminder that life could change in an instant and that reality could be stranger than fiction. One evening, as I was closing up the restaurant, A few of my co-workers and I decided to go for a walk to clear our minds after a long shift. We strolled through the nearby park, the stars twinkling above us. And for a moment, I forgot about the stresses of work. Suddenly, I noticed a figure sitting on a bench at the edge of the park. And my heart dropped. It was him, the man from Wendy's. He was hunched over, his clothes still disheveled, and he seemed lost in thought. I felt a mix of concern and curiosity rise within me, compelling me to approach him. "Hey, are you all right?" I asked cautiously, my heart racing. He looked up, surprise flashing across his face. You work at Wendy's?" I nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. "Yeah, I remember you. Are you okay?" He sighed, the tension easing from his shoulders. I just needed to think. The world is a confusing place. I glanced around, unsure of what to say. "Do you want to talk about it?" His eyes softened, and for the first time, he seemed vulnerable. "I've been trying to make sense of things. The government, the people, it's all so overwhelming." I took a seat next to him, intrigued by the depth of his thoughts. "Sometimes it helps to share what's on your mind." He opened up, sharing his experiences, his fears, and the strange connections he had made in his mind. I listened intently, realizing that beneath the chaos, there was a man seeking understanding in a world that felt alien to him. As our conversation unfolded, I discovered that he had once been a successful businessman. But a series of unfortunate events had led him down a different path. He spoke of loss, loneliness, and the feeling of being forgotten by society. I could see the pain in his eyes, and it resonated with me. In that moment, I understood that everyone has a story, a struggle they're grappling with, no matter how lost they may seem. Our encounter that night at Wendy's had been unexpected, but it had opened the door to a deeper connection, one that reminded me of our shared humanity. After an hour of heartfelt conversation, he thanked me for listening, and I could see a flicker of hope in his eyes. As we parted ways, I felt a renewed sense of purpose within me. I realized that sometimes, it's the moments that seem trivial or bizarre that lead to the most profound lessons. Life continued at Wendy's, with its usual chaos and charm. I often thought of the man I had met in the park and the conversations we shared. I found myself more patient with customers, more willing to see beyond their orders and into their lives. Then came a night that would forever change my perspective, a night that would serve as a reminder of the fragility of life. It was a stormy evening, the rain pouring down in sheets as I worked the late shift. The restaurant was quieter than usual, with only a handful of customers braving the weather. I was cleaning the dining area when the door swung open, and a drenched figure stumbled inside. It was a young woman, her clothes clinging to her skin, hair plastered to her forehead. She looked panicked, her eyes wide with fear. "Help," she gasped. "Please, help me." I rushed to her side, concern flooding my senses. "What's wrong?" I was driving, and my car broke down. "There's a man, he's been following me." My heart raced as I quickly assessed the situation. The storm outside was fierce, and I knew the restaurant was a safe haven. "Come inside. You're safe here," I reassured her, guiding her to a booth in the corner. I grabbed my phone, ready to call the police. But before I could dial, the woman continued, her voice trembling. "I don't know who he is, but he's been watching me for days." Panic set in as I looked toward the door, half expecting someone to burst in. The thought of a stranger lurking outside sent shivers down my spine. I glanced around the restaurant, searching for any signs of danger. "Stay right here," I told her, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I approached the front counter and discreetly signaled to my co-workers, alerting them to the situation. We needed to keep her safe. As the minutes ticked by, the atmosphere in the restaurant shifted. Customers started noticing the woman's distress. their expressions ranging from concern to curiosity. I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on us. Just then, the bell above the door jingled, and a man walked in. My heart sank as I recognized him from the woman's description. He was tall, with a menacing aura, and his gaze darted around the room as if searching for someone. I felt a surge of adrenaline, and instinctively, I stepped in front of the woman, blocking her from view. "Sir, can I help you?" I called out, trying to project confidence despite the knot in my stomach. He looked at me, confusion flashing across his face. "I'm looking for someone," he said, his tone casual yet alarming. "Sir, this is a Wendy's," I replied firmly. "You're not welcome here if you're looking for trouble." The tension in the room escalated as he took a step closer. My co-worker shifted, ready to back me up if necessary. I could feel the woman behind me trembling, and I silently urged her to stay calm. "Just leave, man," one of my co-workers chimed in, crossing her arms defiantly. The man hesitated, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. After a moment of silence, he turned on his heel and walked out, the door swinging shut behind him. A wave of relief washed over the restaurant. But I didn't let my guard down just yet. I quickly checked on the woman, who was visibly shaken but relieved. "Are you okay?" I asked softly. She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. Thank you so much." We waited for the police to arrive, and as we sat together, I realized how significant that moment was. I had stepped up when it mattered, facing fear head-on to protect someone in need. When the police finally arrived, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. They spoke with the woman, gathering information and ensuring her safety. I was proud of how our team came together in the face of danger, supporting one another and our customers. That night, as I closed up the restaurant, I reflected on the events that had unfolded. I realized that my experiences at Wendy's had taught me more than just how to take orders or manage a busy kitchen. They had shown me the importance of community, compassion, and standing up for what is right. My biggest "Sir, this is a Wendy's" moment had evolved into something deeper, an understanding of the human experience, the need for connection, and the power of resilience. As I walked to my car, the rain still falling gently, I felt grateful for the lessons life had thrown my way. I was no longer just a fast food worker, I was a part of something greater. A community that stood together in the face of adversity. And I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would face them with strength and empathy, ready to embrace whatever came my way.